everyone. This is Mark, and I have Beth with me here. We're from Sarah Architects, and we're going to do a video podcast series talking about our sustainability action plan that we've just updated. Hey, Beth, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Why don't you start by just introducing yourself, and then we can get into this.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good. I'm Beth Lavelle. I'm an architect and senior associate in Sarah's housing studio. I'm also a member of our sustainability resources group. And last year, I was the chair of our Sustainable Action Committee. The Sustainable Action Committee is the group responsible for updating and maintaining the Sustainable Action Plan.
Great. Thanks, Beth. And I'm Mark Paraplitza. I'm a principal at Sarah, and I'm director of sustainability. And we're excited about talking about our action plan. The thing that's really cool about this document is that it's really trying to state our vision and capture kind of like the whole framework of our sustainability approach and action and how we go about it. So we're kind of excited about getting into this and sharing this with all of you.
Yeah, before you bring it up, Mark, one thing I just wanted to add that's kind of my favorite thing about the Sustainability Action Plan is that it's really a reflection of Sarah's culture. We talk about our employee ownership structure, dedication to sustainability at so many levels, personally, how we operate our business, how we engage our community, and of course, it talks about sustainability on our project work. Mark, can you start with kind of a background of our sustainability action plan?
Yeah, sure. That's a good idea. So actually, our first version of this was published in 2011, and is actually a requirement of the 2030 commitment. The 2030 commitment is an annual reporting of the projected energy use for projects, which started that year, and we've participated in along with many firms, and it has grown, and we've reported every year. So obviously, with the earliest one, there was a big focus on energy, but part of the idea of the action plan was to look beyond just energy and to look more broadly at sustainability. Well, the requirement was fairly minimal, and so some firms just published a very concise, several-page document kind of stating what their approach to sustainability was. But Sarah kind of dove right in and took a very kind of broad and rigorous approach to it, and the very first action plan was actually 20 pages long. So we've done that with each update, and the current one has actually grown now up to 30 pages. So we've tried not to let it get too out of hand, but it is a very robust document. Why don't I bring it up on the screen so folks can see what that looks like? So I should be sharing my screen now.
Yep.
Can you see that, Beth? Okay.
Yeah.
So just a cover slide here, and then this is the cover of the action plan with just little thumbnails there on the side that kind of show what it looks like. Do you want to talk, Beth, about some of the new topics, the kind of what's like different about this year from the previous versions?
Yeah. So Mark, you're sharing now the table of contents for this latest version. A couple of new areas of focus in this update. The first is embodied carbon that we have under resource management. This has been a big focus for us the past year or so, really digging in and understanding the embodied emissions of our projects and the materials that we build out of. The next topic that we've really expanded in this issuance is social sustainability, both from a diversity, equity, inclusion perspective, but how social sustainability impacts our work and how we interact with the community. And the last big topic that we've added is a lot more on our integrated process, combining design and analysis in our design process. And we have new sections on our project charter and our project compass tools that help us go about this integrated process. And we're going to talk more about our project compass in a bit.
Yeah.
Mark, can you just touch on kind of how we approach sustainability and what we mean by this integrated design process?
Sure. Yeah, that's, it's such an important part of how we approach sustainability in projects and in our work. It's just so important that we integrate all of these interconnected topics, and that we use analysis, and we bring kind of the right level of analysis at the right times to support decision making, going from the earliest phases all the way through. So we really, that's such an important part of it. And I think that the process, as it's described in the action plan and the compass that you're going to talk a little bit more about, those are kind of just great ways to kind of help show how this integrated process is kind of set up, and make sure that we're not leaving out some parts of it.
Yeah.
Maybe we could go though into before we get into the compass, maybe you could talk about the guiding principles, because that really is kind of the framework that sets up the compass.
Yeah, and it guides our integrated process, right?
Right.
So these guiding principles are right up front in the first couple pages of the sustainability action plan. And this is really the structure that sets up how we think about and talk about sustainability at Sarah. We have these three big topics: people focus, climate and resource and climate focus, and sustainable placemaking. And almost every sustainability category that we can think of falls under one of these big three headings. These are just, most of them are listed here: social equity, health and well-being, and the others on the page. So this really helps like structure, guide us, make sure that we're talking about everything when we talk about sustainability and we go through this integrated process. Mark, if you can hit the next slide to talk about how these guiding principles have translated into this awesome graphic tool that we have called the Project Compass. This was a tool developed in-house, kind of a grassroots effort of folks that identified a need to have something that brought all of these sustainability topics together into one tool. So this helps us really guide conversations with clients and stakeholders, helps us set goals and track our progress on all of these sustainability topics. The intent is that the middle of the circle is the market standard. And as you go out these concentric rings, we're pushing ourselves to improved, better, and exemplary performance in any of these topics. And thanks, Mark. This is what it looks like, kind of filled out on a project. You can see that the intent isn't to be perfect at everything. That's really very difficult, if not impossible, to be perfect at everything. But it helps us have conversations and identify like what's most important to our stakeholder groups or our clients. Where should we really be pushing the boundaries, and what areas are we kind of okay with just improved or better performance. But it helps us track and have good conversations along the way.
Yeah, it's really been a valuable tool for us on projects. And I think the one thing I want to just comment on briefly is, certifications are such an important part of sustainability, and obviously a lot of firms have been using LEED and Living Building Challenge and others, and that's definitely been important to us and many of our projects. But sometimes those do a great job overlaying with project kind of drivers and values and priorities, and other times they're not quite perfect. And then there are projects that really can't or aren't able or don't want to do that. So the compass just gives us a way of thinking about it, and kind of, without even dealing specifically with any certification, just to start thinking about those topics, and then it can complement that. So we may certify or not, but this just gives us this really great framework to think about it and to talk about it internally, to talk about it with clients, to make sure that we're kind of taking a holistic approach to sustainability.
Yeah.
And it's also, yeah, go ahead, Beth.
I was just going to say, you just used the word framework. It also helps us talk about sustainability when we're doing something like this with a video podcast.
Yeah.
So we're going to use the compass and the structure of the sustainability action plan to really guide us through these next 5 more sessions. So I'll just walk us through kind of the topics for those. Next, we're going to have human health and well-being with a focus on biophilia. followed by resource management with a focus on climate impacts. And digging into embodied carbon is one of our new topics. The third session will be on sustainable placemaking with one of our colleagues from our urban design and planning studio. Then we'll talk about social sustainability and equity. And our last session is on design and integration, and really kind of looking forward to the future of what we'll be up to next.
Yeah, so this should be a fun session. It's really great to be able to kind of map this out and to have this discussion, Beth, with you and with others, and to kind of share this through this series. It really, sustainability is just such a big part, like Beth said, of our culture. I mean, it's our DNA, and we approach all of our work like with a focus on that and the way we run our firm. And so it's great to just kind of have this dialogue to get into this topic. So thank you very much for joining us, and we hope you can make it for many of the other sessions and that you're able to take a look at our plan.